Most people grow up believing that wealth begins with money. We are taught, directly or indirectly, that once we earn more, life will feel more secure, more confident, more meaningful. The assumption is that money changes behavior. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if behavior must change first and money only follows later? What if the reason some people seem calm, composed, and quietly powerful has little to do with their bank balance and everything to do with how they live? This is the central idea behind the Old Money Book. It does not promise shortcuts or dramatic transformations. It does not glorify luxury, excess, or status. Instead, it examines how families with generational wealth think, how they behave, and how they maintain stability across decades. The book makes one thing clear from the beginning. Old money is not about how much you have, but how you carry yourself, how you make decisions, and how you relate to time, consumption, and responsibility. Wealth, in this view, is not loud. It is quiet, controlled, and deeply intentional. Old money does not rush. It does not chase trends. It does not react emotionally to short-term changes in income, markets, or social pressure. Where new money often wants to be seen, old money is comfortable being unnoticed. This is not arrogance or secrecy for its own sake. It is simply confidence without the need for validation. That confidence does not come from money itself. It comes from predictability, stability, and self-discipline, qualities that can exist long before wealth ever does. One of the most consistent habits described in the book is spending below one's means. This is not framed as sacrifice or minimalism, but as a form of control. Old money families often live far beneath what they can technically afford. Even when income grows, lifestyle grows slowly, if at all. This creates a margin of safety that protects against uncertainty and removes anxiety from daily life. When your survival does not depend on constant income growth, you gain something far more valuable than luxury: freedom. Freedom from debt, freedom from stress, and freedom from the pressure to perform financially every single month. This approach to money also changes how people think about possessions. Old money does not buy things to feel important. It buys things to be useful, durable, and appropriate. Cars are chosen for reliability, not status. Homes are chosen for stability, not spectacle. Objects are expected to last. When something breaks, it is repaired if possible, replaced only if necessary. This mindset reduces waste, but more importantly, it reduces emotional attachment to consumption. Life stops revolving around upgrades and starts revolving around consistency. The same restraint shows up clearly in personal appearance. One of the most misunderstood aspects of wealth is how it looks. Popular culture often associates richness with loud fashion, visible brands, and constant novelty. Old money operates on the opposite principle. Clothing is simple, neutral, and timeless. Fit matters more than labels. Cleanliness matters more than trends. There is no urgency to reinvent one's image every season. This creates a sense of quiet continuity. When someone dresses consistently and appropriately, without obvious effort to impress, it communicates self-respect and emotional stability. These traits are often mistaken for wealth itself, even when money is not present. Importantly, this way of presenting oneself does not require expensive clothing. It requires intention, choosing fewer items, maintaining them well, and avoiding extremes sends a message of discipline. Old money understands that appearance is not about attracting attention, but about avoiding distraction. When nothing about you is screaming for validation, people focus on what you say and how you behave. That is where real influence comes from. Time is perhaps the most important dimension through which old money sees the world. Short-term thinking is considered dangerous. Decisions are rarely made for immediate pleasure alone. Instead, actions are evaluated based on how they will age. Will this still make sense in 5 years? In 10? Will it limit options or expand them? This long-term orientation affects everything from spending habits to career choices to personal relationships. Impulsivity is viewed not as spontaneity, but as risk. Living with a long-term mindset changes behavior in subtle but powerful ways. You become less reactive. You stop chasing quick wins. You accept that progress is often slow and unglamorous. But over time, this patience compounds. Small, disciplined choices made consistently begin to separate your life from chaos. Stability increases. Stress decreases. Confidence grows, not because you are winning every day, but because you trust the direction you're moving in. Education, in the context of old money, is not about credentials or public recognition. It is about understanding. Knowledge is pursued privately and continuously. Reading, observing, and thinking deeply are seen as responsibilities, not hobbies. The goal is not to appear intelligent, but to reduce errors. Better understanding leads to better decisions, and better decisions protect wealth. This is why self-education is so heavily emphasized. A person who understands finance, history, human behavior, and risk is far less likely to make catastrophic mistakes, even under pressure. Self-mastery is treated as a form of capital. Emotional control, patience, and thoughtful communication are skills that compound quietly over time. Old money values composure because composure prevents damage. Losing one's temper, acting impulsively, or speaking carelessly can destroy reputations and relationships that took decades to build. Learning to remain calm under stress is not just a personality trait, it is a strategic advantage. Privacy plays a critical role in this lifestyle. Old money does not feel the need to share plans, ambitions, or progress publicly. Silence is not secrecy. It is discretion. When plans are shared too early, they become vulnerable to outside opinions, envy, and pressure. By keeping intentions private, focus remains intact. Progress happens quietly, and results are revealed only when they are real and stable. Reputation, once damaged, is difficult to repair. Old money understands this and acts accordingly. This emphasis on privacy also shapes social behavior. Relationships are chosen carefully, trust is built slowly, promises are made cautiously and kept consistently. Reliability becomes a defining trait. Over time, this creates a reputation that opens doors without the need for self-promotion. People learn that your word matters, that your behavior is predictable, and that your presence is stable. These qualities attract opportunities far more effectively than loud ambition ever could. When you step back and look at the daily life created by these principles, it is surprisingly simple. Days are structured, routines are consistent, mornings are calm, finances are predictable, possessions work as expected. There is less urgency, less noise, and fewer emotional extremes. This simplicity is often mistaken for boredom, but in reality, it is freedom. When life is not constantly demanding attention, energy can be directed toward growth, learning, and meaningful work. This is where the idea of living like the rich becomes clear. It has very little to do with luxury and everything to do with order. Order in finances, order in habits, order in thinking. Chaos is expensive. It drains energy, time, and money. Old money avoids chaos not because it fears discomfort, but because it understands cost. Stability, once achieved, is protected carefully. The most important realization from the old money book is that richness is not a number. It is a way of operating. It shows up in how you handle uncertainty, how you respond to pressure, and how you treat resources. Someone with limited income but strong habits often lives a richer life than someone with high income and no discipline. Money without structure creates fragility. Structure without money creates resilience. When money eventually meets structure, wealth becomes sustainable. This perspective completely reframes the idea of success. Instead of waiting for a financial milestone to start living well, the book encourages living well immediately, within your means, with intention, and with restraint. You don't need wealth to be disciplined. You don't need money to think long term. You don't need status to act with dignity. These qualities are available now, and they shape the future far more than income alone. Old money families did not accidentally stay wealthy. They passed down behaviors, not just assets. They taught restraint before indulgence, privacy before exposure, and patience before reward. These lessons protected them across generations, and the same principles can protect anyone willing to adopt them regardless of starting point. In the end, the message is simple but profound. Richness is not defined by what you own, but by how you live. It is found in habits that create stability, decisions that respect the future, and a mindset that values control over display. Money is not the foundation. It is the result. If you live like the rich, calm, disciplined, intentional, long before you have wealth, you give yourself the best possible chance of building it. And when it arrives, you will know how to keep it.